When the leadership team decided that we would split up the bank, they also took the decision that rather than just rebranding the bit that was going to become Lloyds Bank, that in fact they needed to also introduce a cultural change to make a move from a predominantly sales-focused culture to a much more customer-centric culture. So that wasn't a decision that the communications team was really involved in. What we then had to become involved in and think very quickly and very deeply actually about how we would devise a communication strategy that would foster that culture. We started to write about the fact that it was the colleagues' prerogative to be able to write whatever they wanted, but that we were aware that there was a lot of positive sentiment. And so if people wanted to get more involved and wanted to change the tone of the blog, then they needed to blog themselves. And that was a little bit of a turning point actually, because we did see more voices come onto the blog, and we also saw the start of the collaboration. And what has happened since then is that the comments haven't been replaced by positive comments. They've been replaced by questions from one colleague being answered by other colleagues. They've been replaced by colleagues saying this system doesn't work properly, and so the group operations people jumping on and saying, okay, we'll take that away and look at it. And it's become far, far more collaborative and absolutely peer-to-peer. In the first year of our cultural change journey, we spent a lot of time on the metrics because we had to understand whether there was how colleagues were reacting to what was happening around them, and so we measured awareness, we measured understanding, but we also measured sentiment and the conviction that people had that things would be different. In the first year of our story, we created three very different and distinct audiences. We had to find colleagues who were passionate about their customers and who wanted to get involved in the change themselves. These were our advocates. We called these our brand builders, and we asked people to volunteer to become brand builders. That year we got about 1,400 colleagues volunteering. The next year it went up by 200, and this year it leapt to 2,600. And brand builders get involved in all change that comes down through the pipeline, and they now have to give their seal of approval before change can be introduced. Our second audience, of course, was our leaders, a very, very important audience for us. And in the first year, it was vital to get them to give them the opportunity to completely understand what we were doing with revitalisation so that they could lead it with their teams. And we did this initially through a lot of face-to-face. So we had meetings where we used storytelling, we had meetings where we used role modelling, we had workshops where they together agreed the signature actions. And the third audience then was everybody else, and initially it was a tough year, the year that we separated TSB from Lloyds Bank, and so we kept our communication quite light to them until the moment of the separation when we got them actively involved. And the way in which we have been involving all the other colleagues since then has been through the interactive blog and also through a series of innovation jams where we have invited colleagues to suggest their ideas for how we can become more customer-centric, and then we've taken those ideas and worked them through and shown them how we have implemented them.